welcome back to the Your Bear Knits podcast. My name is Jordan. This is my third episode of my knitting podcast where, as the name implies, I talk about my knitting. Today might be a little bit shorter than my previous episodes because I don't have too many things to talk about. I've got two finished objects, one of which technically I talked about last week as well, but I'll talk about it again. And then one work in progress and one, I'll say, Swatch update. So we can get into that later. I just wanted to say thanks everyone for coming back. If you're new here, welcome. I'd love to have you stay for future episodes as well. And I guess we'll just start with what I've finished. So as I mentioned, I talked about this in my last episode when I had literally just finished because I was so excited. And that is the Step Cardigan by Florence Miller, aka Handmade by Florence, on YouTube and Instagram. I'm just going to put this little headphone in my ear. I don't think my hair will get in the way. So, okay. So this was a test knit for her. And like I mentioned, it is the Step Cardigan. She has her step sweater, which I know has been super popular. And that is, more of a traditional, as the name says, pullover. So you can do a crew neck or a turtleneck, mock neck, whatever you want. And this one is a pretty basic, standard, but classic V-neck cardigan with a double knit button band. And last time I recorded, I had not blocked this. I had just finished and was just so excited that I was like, I'm just going to try it on now and show it to you all and talk about it. But I have blocked it. I've worn it a lot, actually, in the 2 or so weeks since I last filmed and showed you all. And since I'm sitting down and wearing this other shirt, I can put other pictures or videos in of me wearing it so you can get a better idea of what it looks like on. And I actually only recently sewed the buttons on. I had just been procrastinating buying them. And since this was my first cardigan, I've never sewn buttons before either. But I found a really great tutorial, which I don't remember the name of the woman who did it, but I can link it below in case other people are interested. But it was really great for learning how to create a little space in between the button and the actual band so that when you button it together, the band lays just a bit more flat. It's not really bumpy or, oh, Erwin's getting up, sorry. It's not bumpy or pulling really, and I'm trying to find the buttonhole. Here we go. Yeah, so you can kind of see there, it just lays very nicely and flat. So in case you didn't watch the previous episode, or just for a refresher as well, this is knit on 5.5 millimeter needles for the body. I believe the ribbing at the bottom of the body and on the arms was 4.5, and then the double knit button band was 4 millimeter. I used all of the called for needles, and I knit mine in Drops Lima. Yes, which is a 50-50 blend. Well, that's not right, actually. It's, I think, a 65-35 blend of wool and alpaca, respectively. And I held that with with one strand of Drops Kid Silk Mohair as well. I don't remember the exact numbers or anything, but they're just both like the standard black, and I think they look really great together. Now, I tend to be a relatively tighter knitter, and so when I first had started knitting, I think I was like 1 or 2 stitches off, but I was like, it's close enough, and I figured when I blocked it, it would be better, and it is. Once I blocked it, it blocked out to about 16 stitches for 4 inches, which is what the pattern calls for, so that is great, and I'm super happy with the fit. I also am really happy with the fabric of the cardigan. The Lima and Mohair together are super beautiful. Now, I'm not typically a Mohair person, like I've only used it in 1 or 2 other projects that I've done, but I don't know, I really wanted a fuzzy black cardigan, and I did not know how the drops Mohair would feel for me, because I've heard mixed reviews from people, but I have been wearing it a lot, as I said, and it really doesn't bother me, which I'm super excited about. I think I've worn it with both long and short sleeves and even like tank tops, and it is very, very fine. It maybe gets a little itchy sometimes around my neck up here, but it really is not that bad at all. So I definitely am happy with my choice of yarn and would recommend this combo. So otherwise with this, like I said before, it is sort of a standard raglan v-neck cardigan. This was actually my first time knitting a cardigan, and the pattern was amazing. I found it very easy to follow, and Florence also has linked a video tutorial that she does for the double knit button band, which is very helpful because I never done one before, and I think I talked about this in the other episode as well, but before it was kind of like, how do you do that? It seems like it would be easy. I've done double knitting, but just had not ever done the button band, and her video was very straightforward, very helpful, and yeah, it went very smoothly, I would say. The only modification that I and some of the other testers have done is the size of the only modification that I did, which some of the other people in the test group have also done this, is just using a slightly smaller button than what Florence had called for in the pattern. I think she has written a 25 millimeter button, but when I was looking at the button sizes, I'd been kind of thinking, the 25 seems like it would be a little big, like you'd be sort of stretching the button to go through the hole. And then some of the other people in the group were also sort of expressing that same opinion, and they were saying they were thinking of using 20 millimeters, and so I ended up just doing that as well. And yeah, it worked perfectly. They fit through the buttonholes very easily, but it doesn't feel like they're gonna slip out or anything either. And in case anyone is wondering too, I just ordered these buttons from Amazon. I am certainly not a button connoisseur by any means, and I just wanted something quickly, and so I found these that came in a little pack of other sort of neutral colors like camel and beige and navy and things like that. So I don't know when the next cardigan, actually that's not true. I'm gonna stop my thought because I'm gonna my work in progress also is gonna be using buttons, so I'll come back to that. But anyway, I'm really happy with these buttons. I really like the little, I don't know what you would call that, just like the little variation of color in them. I think it's cute. And I've been debating on what color button I wanted to do for the black, but I ended up just going with this black one because I think if I had done like a white or beige or pearl or anything like that, I think it would have been too high contrast. And yeah, I'm very happy with how this came out. So since I talked about it in my previous one, I think I'm done with it now. So yeah, keep an eye out for this pattern. I'm not sure exactly when she's going to release it. The test does go for about a week, not quite, a few days as of when I'm recording it. So I'm assuming it'll be soon. I just don't know when for sure. But if you're looking for just a standard classic raglan cardigan, I definitely recommend this one, especially because it was on 5.5 millimeter needles. It went so quickly. So yeah, Step by Step cardigan, A+. Okay, my next finished object is the Monday Sweater Junior by PetiteKnit. And it is so cute. Sorry, there are so many dog hairs from Irwin on this sweater, and because of the color, I just immediately see them all the time. But this color, the yarn, beautiful. This is Birch and Lilly fiber Birch DK, and it is a superwash merino or wool. Let me see. I've got a little bit left of it right here. Yeah, superwash merino. Since I've got the little tag, it's 100 grams for 231 yards. And I had ordered 2 skeins of this for the sweater. I did the 2 to 3 year old size, even though the little family member I'm knitting this for is, I've recently learned she's only about a year, but she's tall, and considering that it's going to be getting warm soon and she probably won't wear this for a few months, I figured doing the 2 to 3 size would just... Irwin! Hey! No bandana. Okay, sorry. Irwin was getting his bandana off screen. He wanted to wear it. Irwin! Oh, Irwin, I'm going to have to edit all of this out. Come on. Come on, you want to be in the back? Oh, okay. Oh. Dang, Irwin, you're taking over the podcast. Here's his St. Patrick's Day bandana that he wanted to wear. Anyway, I don't know what I was saying before. I think I was talking about the yarn with this. Okay, yes. So I did the 2 to 3 year old size, and I ordered 2 skeins of the Birch DK. I don't remember how many yards PetiteKnit estimates that you need for this, but when I was purchasing the yarn, I was like, oh yeah, that'll be enough. Like, what is it, 230, so 460? I'm like, yeah, that'll be enough for this size. And so this is, before I talk about the body and such, this is obviously, as you can see, a raglan. It's knit top down, and you start by casting on the collar, and it's a double folded collar, and there are some short rows that you do in the back here, built in. So that is nice. I like that aspect of it. So I did the collar and the short rows in one skein, and then I decided I was going to try helical knitting for the rest of the body, just because even though this color is pretty light and subtle, the camera's kind of blowing out all the colors. I'll put a picture in of of all of the very pale and subtle colors so that you can see them better, because since I've got the light right here, it's kind of hard to see the depth of them. But I figured I would just try helical knitting since I had never done it before, and I didn't know exactly how the colors were going to appear as I was knitting them. And so just to be safe and avoid pooling or anything, I did the helical knitting. And you can kind of see this line right here that I think is from the helical knitting. And yeah, I'm not really sure what I could have done differently. I mean, I guess it's like a tension thing. I thought I was being cognizant of my tension, and I did notice it after I had gone past that point and was, down here. And so I had hoped that by blocking it, that would sort of take care of it, but it is still visible a little bit, which I don't hate. Like, I think it's one of those things that if people who don't necessarily know that I knit this, when they see it hopefully on, they won't notice it, right? I think it's just because when I'm holding it flat like this, I know it's there. But anyway, besides that, I thought the helical knitting was successful. I mean, the only other place that I really notice anything is just in the back right there, which is where I think I joined the second skein. But I mean, otherwise, I did the majority of the body. Oh, there's a little bit down there. But I did the majority of the body all helical knitted. I think for the bottom ribbing, I didn't know how the helical knitting would work with ribbing. I'm sure it can work, but I just didn't feel like dealing with it. And so I just used one skein, and then I don't even remember which arm I knit first, but each arm or each sleeve is knit with only one skein as well. And honestly, I don't really notice any difference in the color because, up until the split here, this would have been done with helical knitting, and this would have been only one skein. And you can maybe very, very slightly see a difference in color. But I mean, that also could just be because it's a smaller circumference, right? So the colors would be more prominent anyway. And so it's not that I regretted doing the helical knitting, because I do think it was worth doing to learn a new skill and try something new. But it also was sort of like, I didn't really need to do it. It was a little extra work, it took a little more time and fiddling with because you have the two balls at once, but that's okay. That is okay. Let's see. So otherwise, you knit this on 4mm needles for the body. The ribbing for the neckline, the cuffs, and the bottom were 3.5mm. I did knit both the sleeves and the body a few centimeters shorter than what the pattern called for. So I will say, because of the helical knitting and because I had done the neckline with one skein and then was using two for the rest of the body, I was having a little bit of a hard time telling how much yarn I had left, and I actually was getting nervous that I was going to run out of yarn. And because I was already doing a size bigger than what the family member would probably actually be, I figured I'm just going to stop a few centimeters short. This is Superwash yarn, so hopefully I can just block it out so that it grows a lot. And then, make sure I can do both of the sleeves and have that done. And I ended up having a decent amount of yarn left over. I don't have a scale, so I don't know for sure how much this is, but I would guess at least 25 grams. So it's a decent amount. It's not like I've just got a tiny thing left. So I don't know. I had been thinking, once I did cast off and I saw I had this much left, I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll block it, see how much it grows, and then I can always go back and add in more length if I wanted. I don't know if anyone has watched one of my other videos on this channel, which is, it's like a sort of a vlog style. But I was doing some minor sweater surgery on a slipover that I made for my dad this past holiday season. And I'm just sort of burnt out on adding length. Now, I have not done where you put, like a lifeline in and then cut, add more stitches, and then Kitchener everything back. I have not done that type of sweater surgery. And considering that this is already one size bigger, I'm not feeling super motivated to go back and add extra length. And so I'm just going to cross my fingers that this is okay and that it fits. Because otherwise, I'm really happy with it. It's so cute. After I finished it, I was like, I wish I could try it on, just because I really like this color. It's so neutral, but yet the little stripes of color just add such a fun little element. So yeah, I'm very jealous that the little family member gets to have this. But yeah, so that's the Monday Sweater Junior. Last thing I'll say, you might have seen, I have these little labels. I don't know I don't think they would have made an appearance in any other video so far. But yeah, I got these a few months ago because I realized I have done a fair number of gift knits, and I want people to be able to see. I mean, obviously they'll know that I made it for them, but I wanted a label to look professional. And also because a few months ago when I was at the movies and I had brought my melange sweater, the green one, and it was in the dark, and I was trying to put it on, and I put it on backwards because I couldn't tell which way was the front. And after that experience, I was like, okay, we're going to get labels. So yeah, so this was the last little thing that I just did. I'm still sort of figuring out how best to sew the label on. It looks a little messy right now, but also it's like once you're wearing it, you can't see it. So I'm not too concerned with it. I just really hate sewing things, I've learned. So like if you might have noticed, I haven't even put a label in my step-by-step cardigan yet. And I was just thinking that I probably need to, but it's like I can only do one per day. Otherwise I get very impatient. But anyway, I think I've said everything about this. We're ready to move on. Okay, so now moving on to my whips. I only have one right now. And last episode, I talked about when I was talking about the step-by-step cardigan and the yarn that I ended up choosing for that, I mentioned that I had bought this black cotton alpaca yarn by Jody Long. It's called Alpamayo. And I had wanted to use that at first for the step-by-step cardigan, and that cardigan I think is more of like an Aran weight, and the Alpamayo is worsted, and so it wasn't gonna work for that cardigan, and I didn't feel like holding it with mohair, even though I ended up using mohair in it. I didn't want to with the cotton and alpaca. And so I really had been thinking, oh, what am I going to do with this yarn? It's kind of an awkward amount of it because I had 3 skeins, and let me see if I have the tag over here. Oh yeah. So it's 100 grams for 175 meters or 191 yards. So I think Ravelry calculated for me how much I had total, and I think it was like 570 yards or something like that. And so Erwin again. I had said that, if I found a pattern that really spoke to me that I needed one more skein of, I would have been okay buying one more, even though it wasn't ideal. And after I had blocked the Step by Step cardigan and was wearing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I love the black cardigan. I had previously had them in my wardrobe, and I don't know what, I sort of just like lost the other one I had. And so having this one again was filling a hole in my wardrobe. However, it's getting pretty warm in Austin, and I'm probably only going to be able to wear that cardigan inside, like if I'm cold in my house or if my office is cold. And so I was wanting something else that I could wear for when it got warmer. And so I decided to cast on vest number 4 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, which picture up here to show what the final thing looks like. And I am really happy with how it's coming so far. There's a lot of ends that I need to weave in, but I don't know what's going on down here. There we go. Yeah, so I'm imagining this both as a layering piece and as something that I can wear as sort of like a standalone tank top if I button it all up, or button it, like most of the way up like this. So I'm knitting, I knit this on 4.5 millimeter needles. I did the ribbing on 3.5, and I just actually finished the ribbing off last night, which is why I've got this super long tail left. But yeah, I cast this on, I don't even remember when, maybe like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. It was very shortly after I had filmed and put out my last podcast episode. It felt very spontaneous, but it was a pattern that I had been sort of eyeing for a while and thinking like, this might be nice, but just something that I didn't necessarily know what yarn I would use for it. And so then when I remembered that I had this, I was like, oh, that would kind of be perfect. And then, because I've seen some people style it really cute where they wear it over a little t-shirt and just do like the first button up here. And I really like that look. And then also the idea of being able to wear the vest just like as a tank top for summer, I thought was really cool. Because even though this is a worsted weight and it does have some alpaca in it, I think because it's half cotton, I think it'll be okay for the next few months at least. Maybe not August, but we'll see. But yeah, I've been enjoying working with it so far, with the yarn so far. It definitely feels more cottony than alpaca-y. So it'll be interesting to see if it changes at all once I block it and I'm actually wearing it. Let's see, any major things? I haven't really done any modifications. I guess the only thing would just be the length. I think the pattern calls for you to knit like 45 centimeters or something like that. Like it seemed like it was really long. And after seeing some other people's Ravelry posts with their finished objects, a lot of people have done more of a crop fit. And considering that I'm wanting it to be like a tank top as well, I decided I was just going to crop it. And so I think I've mentioned before, but I wear mostly all high-waisted pants. And so I figured just having it, I'm doing this, you can't see my waist, but having it come just like around my waist, maybe half an inch to an inch past it, basically like where it would meet my jeans or my shorts. I thought that would be a good length. So yeah, so I'll have to measure it again because I don't remember how long I ended up knitting it. And then I think the ribbing, I think I just did maybe like half an inch shorter than what it called for as well, just to kind of keep it more in line with like what a tank top might look like versus like a sweater or a vest. So yeah, I got most of it done at this point. I just need to do the button bands, which on this vest, you just do a 1x1 ribbed button band. So you do the sides first, and then once you've got the sides, then you'll do the collar part. And then I don't have the little button tray with me, but the ones that I ordered from Amazon that I used for my step-by-step cardigan, they're part of a larger assortment that come in 25, 20, and then 15 millimeter sizes. And so I'll probably use the 15 millimeter ones for this. And I'm most likely going to do the black again. There were gray buttons that are sort of like a medium toned gray that came in the pack. And so I might lay it out and see if I like that, but that might even be too much of a contrast. Like I did the same for the cardigan and I just preferred the black. So I might just end up going with the black again for this. But yeah, this is vest number 4, Alpamayo. The only thing that I was not very pleased with this yarn was when I was doing the sewn bind off last night. I don't know what happened, how this happened, if it caught on like my fingernail or, I mean, Erwin was laying with me, so maybe it caught on his nail or something, but the plies really started to come undone. And I mean, I'll just continue doing it so you can see. And so it was like this. And so as you're sewing it, it just kept getting more and more tangled like that. And I tried to cut it and then just keep doing it. But because it's got that cotton in it, once it was coming undone, it just did not want to stick back to itself. And so, I mean, I even tried to do sort of like the magic knot on it, like where you tie both of the separate ends on each other and then pull and it cinches together. I didn't explain that super well, but I tried to do that, and then there was, like a little knot. Erwin's laying back here now. But I even tried to do that, and it did not want to work. Let's see. Okay. Feels very bright from over here, but All right, we'll just stay here like that. But yeah, it did not want to cooperate. And so I thought that I had gotten it figured out and I was pulling it, and then it just broke. I guess because, I mean, it's four ply, and I think at that point 2 of the plies had been cut. One of them was like tie. I don't know. It got very messy and it just broke, and I just wasn't very happy about that. And so I just ended up attaching a whole new string, or a whole new length of it to the rest so I could just finish it. And I ended up having a knot in it anyway, which is very annoying when you are trying to sew. But it ended up working out. I mean, I think you probably can't even tell, but I think it was right here where the knot ended up sort of getting caught, where I couldn't pull it through the loops anymore. But because of how Italian bind off looks anyway, where it's sort of rounded, the knot just sort of blends into it, which I'm very glad about. But yeah, other than that, which was just sort of like a fluky thing, otherwise the yarn has been fine to work with. The only thing that I have been also slightly frustrated with, which is not the yarn's fault, is just doing the ribbing on the 3.5 millimeter needles was not very fun. I prefer to work with metal needles, and my 4.5 millimeter needles are the Chow red lace ones, which are so nice to work with. And my 3.5 millimeters are wooden. I don't remember what brand it is, but doing the 3.5 with the worsted weight on the wooden needles, not ideal. And I'm gonna have to do that for the button band and the collar or neck ribbing as well. But it's okay. I'll persevere. I'm almost done with it. So yeah, hopefully, it definitely should be finished by the next podcast, which is exciting. Yeah, so I'm excited to have this. I think this will be a welcome addition to my summer wardrobe. Okay, my final thing that I will talk about, it's sort of, I alluded to it at the beginning, that it's sort of just like a Swatch update. I think I had mentioned in my last episode that I had bought some hand-dyed yarn from Tiffany Tiffany of Typical Bliss, from her Howl's Moving Castle collection. And since I am getting close to the end of vest number 4, I figured I would wind up the hank of the yarn and swatch it up, because I think I had mentioned before I was interested in knitting the Lonely Leftovers vest by Wool and Beyond, which I've been seeing a lot of other people talk about. So it's exciting that pattern's getting a lot of attention. It looks really cool. I guess I didn't fully read the pattern though. The yarn weight is like an Aran, if not bulky, and this yarn, the Typical Bliss yarn, is a worsted weight. And I don't really remember my thought process when I was ordering it. Here, I can show the wound up skein. It's absolutely beautiful. But I don't really remember what I was thinking when I purchased this. Like, if I had known about that pattern and was looking for yarn for it, or if I knew that I wanted to get the yarn and then thought of a pattern and thought that the Lonely Leftovers vest would work with it. And I figured I might as well just see, see what my swatch is giving me. And so it's all tangled up here now, but I've got like a Frankenstein swatch a little bit. So this first part, the top up here, I did on 5mm needles. I don't remember actually the size that the Lonely Leftovers vest calls for, but it might be 5 or 5.5, but I figured I would just do 5 because once I reread the pattern and realized that this probably wasn't going to work, I was like, oh, let's try a needle size that's more appropriate for worsted weight, just to see what I get. So I did it on the 5, and I counted it, and I'm forgetting what it is now. I want to say I got 19 stitches for 4 inches on my 5mm. And so then I went down to a 4.5. So see, here's my Chow Goose on right now. And I should have done more because it's curling up so much, but there's just the very, very tiniest little difference with the 4.5mm, and it's about 20 stitches for 4 inches instead. Now, of course, you might be able to guess, this has not been blocked, obviously. So I might get 1 to 2 more stitches from a blocked swatch, especially because this is a superwash yarn. But I don't think that this yarn, on its own at least, would be appropriate for the Lonely Leftovers vest. And so I've been, for the last 24 hours or so, I've been in sort of a dilemma of, like, what do I want to do with this yarn now? Because I, again, like the Alpamayo, I have sort of an awkward quantity of this. This is a little better, I think, because I have 4 skeins of this yarn, and there are, I think, 183 meters in the 100 gram skein, so about 200 yards. So I do have a little bit more of this than the Alpamayo, but because it's a worsted weight, it's like I don't quite have enough for a sweater. And I mean, obviously, I've talked about, oh, it's getting warm, it's getting hot here. I don't know if I want to use this for like a t-shirt or tank top because it is wool, so I don't think that would be the best choice for me. And so I just don't really know exactly what to do. I will say I am planning at some point to do the Cognac sweater by Atelier Castan, I think is her name. Yeah. And I know that one is a good option for like a full sweater that doesn't use a ton of yarn. But that one also calls for, I believe, like a fingering and a lace weight. And I actually do have yarn that I already plan to use for that. And so I don't know, even though that sort of creates a worsted weight fabric, you get the mohair or the Surrey alpaca, whatever the fuzzy lace weight that you would be using, would sort of fill in any gaps of the wool yarn from knitting on a larger gauge. So it's like, I don't know if that makes the most sense either. I think the thing that I'm leaning the most towards is blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, because I've been really wanting to make that for a while since that pattern came out, and every time I see someone wearing it, like, yes, I want that. I need that. It's just sort of like can I get the full garment out of this amount of yarn? I think I could, but I'm not entirely sure. It might just end up being like super cropped. But if anyone has a suggestion for what to do with 800 yards of worsted yarn in this beautiful colorway. So it's getting quite dark in my apartment. But yeah, if anyone has any ideas, definitely comment below. I would love to hear people's suggestions. In my last episode, actually, someone had suggested using the Alpamayo for a ranunculus, which I thought was really great. I will never say no to anything, but right now, I feel like lace is not my style. And so even though it's a really beautiful pattern, I'm like, I don't know if I can see myself wearing it, but I don't know, maybe one day I'll do it just to try it out. And if I don't like it for myself, I could always gift it to someone. But I thought that was a really great suggestion. Yeah. So if anyone has any other ideas, I would love to hear it. But otherwise, that is going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for sticking around. I have really been enjoying seeing more people joining the little Yard Bear community. So yeah, I'm hoping to maybe stick to like a 2 or every 2 week sort of schedule, but the episodes might get a little shorter if I do that, just since I am not a super prolific knitter. But we'll see how it goes, how I'm feeling. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. Hope everyone is doing well, enjoying the beautiful spring season so far. And yeah, happy knitting. Bye.